Wow. Hello, hello, and welcome back, Royalty Talk Podcast family. Today, we are celebrating Hat Day. And in celebration of Hat Day, I wore my nice blue Fascinator hat. I'm feeling very, very Meghan Markle slash a little bit of military feel to it. Hats come in so many different colors, shapes, and sizes. Very, very, very similar to us as people. I love a wonderful Kentucky Derby hat, beautiful Fascinator hat like the one I have on today. I feel so much more, sophisticated when you put on a nice hat with your outfit. It definitely takes it to the next level, but because there are so many hats, like I thought back to when my husband and I were dating, and I used to just love when he would have his hair freshly done and then he have on a nice fitted ball cap. I would be like, that man is fine. But it's something about a hat that will accentuate our outfits. And again, it's so similar to us as people. I think that's why I was very adamant about talking about hats today, because hats are wonderful tools. They are, like I said, an accentuation to an outfit, but it's also something that we use, when I thought about it, to cover things up. If we're losing hair, we put on a hat, cover it up. It's a good way of concealing and also revealing, because if you take the hat off and you're going bald in the middle, you're going to reveal something that people never seen. But today's tea topic, I really just wanted to talk about the cover up part of hats and how we can sometimes use it for protection. For example, I put on sunscreen to make sure I don't burn too much from the vitamin D. It's really crazy because in so many ways, too much of a good thing can be bad. Other ways, I have freckles, which I didn't have growing up. So once I had my daughter and these freckles popped out, I felt like it was a blemish. So I started wanting to wear makeup to cover up what I felt was a blemish, while there are other people who were like, you don't need a full face of makeup. It's beautiful. But it was a negative feature to me. So, now that I'm getting older, I'm just like, I don't know if I just don't care that much anymore, or if maturity has set in and I'm just like, I look good either way. I'm for wearing the makeup. I'm for not wearing the makeup. Whichever way is fine. There are also times when I've covered up my mistakes. I remember growing up, my brother and I were playing a game at home where we jumped from furniture piece to furniture piece, and we couldn't fall because if we fell, we'd fall in the lava, or maybe it was water with alligators. It was all types of stuff, guys. So we're jumping, and I've never been a tall person, and I jump, but I didn't really make it. And so the lamp falls over, and I'm like,
oh my God.
But I remember something my mom said. So I see she's pulled into the driveway and I meet her at the door. I don't meet her at the door with hugs and kisses, which I probably should have threw that in now that I think about it. But I remind her of the statement that she made, that if we told her the truth, we wouldn't get a beating, right? So she's like, tell me what happened. And I tell her my truth as far as I could tell it. I don't think I told the whole thing because, who wants to tell her we're playing this game, we're jumping on the furniture, and then I'd be ratting my brother out at the same time. So, I just kept some of the stuff in, but I told her the main parts, hey, I was messing around, the lamp broke. And then she says, go get a switch. And I'm like, wait, what? And then, it made me realize as I matured that just because it's a mistake doesn't mean I get to skip the consequences. And so I thought about also how I've also covered up some meditated actions, things that I've done out of my own free will. But there are also things that have happened that I've covered up that weren't done out of my free will, but someone else's. So, for example, I used to be married to a guy, and this fellow was kind of like the Dr. Seuss book. He would get upset and his rage would come out here, there, everywhere, and anywhere. So after those fits of rage, I find myself trying to cover up whatever may have been on my body, in my possessions, or even my emotions. Just trying to stay strong. I felt like for my kids. And then also like trying not to cry because he would say crying made me weak. I was embarrassed by the situation, so I felt like I had to cover it up a lot. So there are times when I've covered up those types of things that were not in my control. Also, I remember a time when I was in high school and the bell rings. I'm walking to my next class thinking I'm cute, y'all, because I got on this little black and white skirt doing my thing, and I've never been the girl who got cramps before a period to kind of alert her that it was coming. It just showed up. And that was a day when it decided to show up, and this girl pulled me to the side and, she tells me you're bleeding. And so I take my windbreaker jacket and I tie it around my waist so I can cover up the red stain on the back of my skirt until I could call someone to get a change of clothes. And, life is just like that. We have to take the good with the bad, like a cut. We can cover it with a Band-Aid temporarily, and it does provide some relief. But at some point, we got to take that Band-Aid off and let it heal, whether we cause the sore that we're covering up or not. Healing is the imperative part, and it looks different for each of us. If my mom gets a cut, the same place I get a cut, she's a diabetic. So her healing is going to be different than mine. I may heal quicker than she does. At the same time, someone else could experience the same thing that I've experienced, and then they could say, girl, if I was you, I would do da 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 da. And you don't always know that that's going to be the case because you may not have experienced it. So you're just going off of, man, if that was me, I would do blah, 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 blah. When if it really was you, you're not thinking of the I would do da 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 a lot of times during that time. So sometimes it's like a cover up for that. Or the girl may be saying, I would do blah, 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 blah. And she just covering up what she's going through at that particular moment. So I think overall, we have to really stop covering up. That's why I wanted to talk about Hat Day today, the cover up. We've got to start being more of an active participant in our own healing. It can't be left up to our spouses. It can't be left up to our children. It can't be left up to, am I having a good day? It's got to be us saying, I'm going to make sure that I take care of me because health is wealth. I just watched season 2 of Ginny in Georgia. Poor Ginny was self-harming herself, and she goes and she gets therapy graciously by a parent putting her in position to do that. So definitely I think that's a big thing that they're actually showing that on TV now, that yes, we do need therapy. Black people, we do need therapy. It will aid in our healing process. So I love that it was her father that recommended that, because he is a Black male on the show. So yeah, she's self-harming. He gets her into some therapy so she can learn to identify the emotions that get her so overwhelmed that she does that. And then you have her mom, Georgia, who isn't burning herself, but she is still self-harming. Her circumstances make her self-harm, and it's either by running, or she is emotionally or physically self-harming herself because of something she's going through. So she also needs to benefit from some therapy and really actively participating in her own self-healing. I love how it ends, and her daughter is telling her, Mom, you deserve this love that you're now trying to run from. Because that's oftentimes what those who we give out so much love to everyone else, and then we find ourselves not getting it back. And it's almost like we learn to accept that. And that's not the way things should be. It should be reciprocal. And we have to learn that we do deserve it. So we've got to show up for ourselves before we can expect anybody else to show up for us, and stop running. I became a runner. The things that I went through in my life made me not rely on people. So when certain things happen, I would go ahead and say, okay, I'm done with this situation. I'm done with this person. But I also was real loyal and would stick with the ones who were showing that same negative behavior. So I had to realize this is a negative cycle. I've got to get myself out of it. But first, I got to deal with what's in me that attracts this. What's in me that is attracted to this, where I'm okay with bringing it into my life for a while. Those are the things that I had to learn to self-heal from, and also self-heal from the things that other people had done to me, but also the things that I did to myself. You know, I wasn't a cutter, but there were times when, or a burner like in the show, but there were times when I felt suicidal. There were times when I dealt with depression, and all because it gets to be overwhelming. The more you cover up, it's like weight. It's really a heavy, heavy weight. And what's funny is, although the weight was heavy emotionally that you couldn't see, like with hats, you can see them. They're an outward type of thing. But a cover up, that is invisible. Most people don't see your cover up. So you can get away with covering it up for so long that you start thinking that's the right thing to do. And that's how things are supposed to be, but it's not. It's really, really not. And so I found myself heavy with an emotional weight. And then on the opposite side of that, my physical weight was literally not just fluctuating anymore. It was going straight down. I was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because I had so much stress and so much weight from all the things that I was covering up, everything that I was trying to deal with, being a young teen mom, getting married early. I married someone who was abusive. So dealing with all of that, trying to go to work in a corporate atmosphere. First week I go to this job, I have a black eye. I don't even know how to do makeup at this point, in my life. And I'm going to the little pharmacy drugstore for makeup, because that's where I saw some of my family members get makeup from. They didn't go in the mall and buy Bobbi Brown or go to Ulta and get makeup, Sephora, which I love now. We weren't privy to that. So I went brought this makeup and it's not my skin complexion. So I'm trying to do the best I can. And I buy these glasses. At this point, I don't even wear glasses, guys, but I'm doing everything I can to cover up. And guys, it was so much work. Covering it up is hard. It's so much work. And sometimes it's the work that should make you sit back and say, that's not worth it. This isn't worth the energy that I need to put into this, because really, now I see that energy is so much better placed in other spaces where I'm not carrying that weight. Yeah, I'm a little thicker, a little bigger now. Okay, in other spots. But my emotional weight, I learned, and there is a scripture that talks about casting your cares. And, I'm not a fisher, but I have seen people fish and they cast the rod. So when I think about it, it's just like, God don't even want me to walk it over to him. He's like, girl, throw that thing, get rid of it. That is not for you. I can deal with that. And I've had repeated circumstances happen, that God constantly reminds me, I'm here to handle that. And, there are other things that I do to self-heal, because your healing might not look like my healing. You and I could go through the exact same thing, and I might be able to brush it off, deal with it through a heavy conversation or something like that. Whereas for you, that blow may really take you down to a place that isn't pretty. So that's why you have to be committed to you. Before you, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Put a ring on yourself and say, I am committed to me. I'm committed to loving me. I'm committed to walking with me on days that I don't look good. I'm committed to walking with me when I'm flyer than ever. I am committed to me. And that means when I get down, when I'm hurt, when I'm angry, that I remind myself who I am. That is why I am so glad God said, Tiffany, you are royalty. So I keep in my office my reminder, my picture frame, remember who you are. Because sometimes I might get out of character a bit. And then I have to snap back and say, that is not who you are. That is who you used to be. Don't go back there. It's not pretty. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tea, and I hope you are going to leave this conversation and say, I am committed to me. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.